Hey, Nuggets fans, and anyone in the NBA world who is interested in something true and something potentially deep. I came across a graphic on NBA Twitter today that was speaking to underdogs who made it through their playoff series against the greatest odds. Two of the top 12 upsets in the NBA playoffs since 1988 just happened in this last round. The Pacers beat the number one seeded Cavaliers, albeit in significant part due to injuries to the Cavs, and the Knicks beat the defending champions Celtics, also in part due to one major injury to the Celtics' best player, Jason Tatum. Tomorrow we have a game seven, the often described best two words in sports. It'll be between the number one seeded Oklahoma City Thunder and the just 1 year removed from their championship run Denver Nuggets. This could be a very lengthy video if I were to go into all the reasons that the Nuggets, if they were to win tomorrow, would become the third biggest playoff series success story since before Michael Jordan. And if you're a Nuggets fan, you probably understand many of these reasons already and how they predate the current era, even if they seem to have gone into hyperdrive since Nikola and Jamal started the new ascent and solidified it in the bubble. And if you're anything like me, you probably feel gaslit by most of the NBA media landscape who tend to do anything to avoid touching on these reasons. All that leaves you, if you follow closely enough, with almost no one to hash it out with as to why your team, a team who won it all just 2 years ago, was a 9-1 underdog in this series and something like a 40-1 underdog to win it all this year, especially when you understand that this is practically the same team whose title defense was ended largely because its opponent realistically was only made to win just 2 games on its own rather than the normal 4. Yep, this is thanks to Game 2 and Game 6 against Minnesota being both ref-driven versions of this year's Game 2 against Oklahoma City, which, credit to Oklahoma City, was play-driven. Their assertive energy to get up by so much is worthy of praise. And let's face it, the Wolves last year also are deserving of credit for capitalizing on the style of play that they were afforded. Still, this could get more lengthy. I don't want to get into the draft lottery either. You know, the one that a third of the time has awarded the top pick to its top league agenda that year, including this year, while pure chance would see such a result of that happening the last 41 years less than 10% of the time. Yeah, just reminder, Dallas had 1.8% odds of getting that first pick. So I also won't go into the measures of the ref effect or the cable media effect or the social media reinforcement or the league scheduling impact, maybe a little, or the influence of trades or influences on trades and free agency or market weight and perceived consumer base interest. Just suffice it to say and suffice it to just look at something very simple, very striking, and pretty clear cut. Since before Michael Jordan and his stardom and success changed the NBA sports and marketing model to center around him and his successors, there have been just 4 teams with worse than 8-1 odds against them to win a playoff series. One of those teams was the beneficiary of Derrick Rose's career-altering injury in that very first round series that it happened. So that really leaves just 3 teams who actually won against the odds on their own full merits. One was the We Believe Warriors, who beat the defending conference finalists and the number one seeded Dallas Mavericks with MVP Dirk Nowitzki. This is the team that is seemingly more remembered than the other two for some reason. Probably largely because of the catchy saying or motto itself, and also because of their competition, if we're honest. Because that Warriors team itself actually went on to lose 4-1 in the second round to a number 4 seeded Jazz that would never make another conference finals. As for their competition in that first round that makes them so memorable, well, that Dallas team might have been defending champions were it not for that ref effect that favored Dwayne Wade and Shaq's first title outside LA in the previous finals. Go back and watch a couple of games of that series and you tell me that it didn't have an impact. So maybe that plays a role in our collective memories too. As for the remaining teams, there are two. And a third, actually, if this year's Nuggets, in spite of Aaron Gordon tweaking his hamstring in that last minute of that last game, are able to defeat the number one seeded Thunder tomorrow. Do you know who those other two teams are? The 1994 Denver Nuggets and the 2020 Denver Nuggets. Which means if the 2025 Denver Nuggets manage to win tomorrow, they will become the fourth NBA team, just the fourth, and the third Nuggets team to defy the worst odds possible since 1988. You tell me that this tells you nothing but coincidence. Oh, and by the way, recall that 2020 Nuggets team again. Game one of that Western Conference Finals, the series that they would go on to lose and be prevented from a chance of facing a largely hurt Heat team, meaning the winner of the Western Conference Finals that year really was going to be the winner of the NBA Finals in the bubble. Just recall that for a second. It was thrown in the second quarter of the first game by the referees. Go back and watch the tape. Watch the second quarter, watch the third quarter, and you won't be able to argue otherwise in good faith. This does not mean that the league is rigged. What it does mean is that the league, or these series, to some degree, is tilted. It means that those Lakers only had to win 3 games instead of 4 on their own full merits, and that first game basically granted them a 1-0 lead. It doesn't mean that they still wouldn't have won. It doesn't even mean that they weren't the better team. It just means that first game was not on the level. And this plays a role. And by the way, let's bring in just another one of those league tilting factors, the scheduling. Did you know that in part thanks to their penchant for playing really competitive series, the Denver Nuggets, were they to continue in the playoffs after tomorrow, will be the least rested and most forced by the league to play every other day in the playoffs this year, and by a lot? Do you know that the Denver Nuggets are an older team than every other team remaining in the playoffs? Did you know that the Denver Nuggets have leaned on the shortest rotation throughout the season, and certainly through these first 2 rounds thus far, thanks in part due to trouble in management and coaching that resulted in the firing of their GM and head coach 3 games before the playoffs? Did you know that Aaron Gordon, who has actually already won 3 games for the Nuggets at the buzzer, who is already playing on a troubled calf, much like Michael Porter Jr. has basically been playing on practically just one shooting shoulder, was injured on a foul that wasn't called? One that was very comparable to the reach-in foul that James Harden wanted to fight Christian Braun over in round 1. And because there was no whistle ending that play, he was made to react awkwardly for the loose ball in the final minute of the last game. Just remember, if the Denver Nuggets are somehow able to win tomorrow and are able to avenge themselves against the team that ended their championship defense, they would meet one of the other foremost underdogs of the last 40 years in the NBA Finals. Whether that is a New York team that the ESPNs and many an interest in the NBA of course prefer, or an Indiana team that is likely a younger nugget of the East. Either way, it'll be a team Vegas did not expect. The last time there was a team that Las Vegas missed on this badly, who wound up making the finals, was 2023, when the Miami Heat beat the Milwaukee Bucks in their first round series. This was also the last time the Denver Nuggets won the NBA Finals. Just food for thought. Go Nuggets.